Hello Glamour Ghouls, welcome back. Today's video is just a quick stop in to do an announcement for July book club. So I had mentioned possibly doing a spooky book club maybe like a month ago in a video, and a lot of you were very interested in that. As I've mentioned in the past, I know that several other creators have spooky book clubs. However, I am not much of a horror person myself. I like spooky, cozy, more Halloween-y books and less gory, scary, I can't sleep for 3 days books. So if you're looking for more of kind of a fun, spooky, light, creepy, Halloween-y, cozy book club, this is the one for you. I do have a book club tier over on my Patreon, which I will link in the description box below. I'm looking real washed out today and I don't know why. My lighting is exactly the same as normal. Anyway, you do not have to be part of the book club tier on Patreon to participate in the book club. We will still do it here and on Patreon. The benefit of doing it over on Patreon is that I will do a live book discussion over on Patreon where we can, converse in the chat and everything rather than you watching the review back at a later date. So if you did want to join the live book discussions, consider joining my $3 a month book club for the recently deceased tier over on Patreon. Like I said, it gives you that live book discussion. I'll be uploading some to be read lists over there. And on certain months, I will also give exclusive voting power on books to that book tier on Patreon as well. However, this month I did select this book just flat out because I'm very excited about it as it is releasing next month. And I really wanted us to be one of the first book clubs to read this book. The book is Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. You might have heard of him before. He's a very popular kind of horror fiction author. He most recently, I believe, was a New York Times bestseller for the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which came out last summer. I recently read this maybe in January or December, and I really liked this book. It was, it had some things about it that I didn't love, but his writing style I adored, and it held my attention the whole time, and it read very much the way watching a horror movie feels. The way he was able to create suspense and the detail he uses, it was just really, really well written, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I thought he had a very creative take on an old kind of trope with vampires. He's also written another book called My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I've heard a lot of good things about. I have not read that one personally, but he has this new book releasing on the 13th of July. It is called Final Girl Support Group, and I'm gonna read you the description real quick right now. Okay, so this is the description from Amazon. In horror movies, the final girls are the ones left standing when the credit rolls. They made it through the worst night of their lives, but what happens after? Like his best-selling novel, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, Grady Hendrix's latest is a fast-paced, frightening, and wickedly humorous thriller. From chainsaws to summer camp slayers, the Final Girl Support Group pays tribute and slyly subverts our most popular horror films like Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Scream. Literally all of my favorite horror films. Lynette Tarkington is a real-life final girl who survived a massacre. For more than a decade, she's been meeting with 5 other final girls and their therapist in a support group for those who've survived the unthinkable, working to put their lives back together. Then, one woman misses a meeting and their worst fears are realized. Someone knows about the group and is determined to rip their lives apart once again, piece by piece. But the thing about Final Girls is that no matter how bad the odds, how dark the night, how sharp the knife, they will never, ever give up. So, like I said, I'm not a big horror person in the terrifying, bone-chilling kind of way, but I love a slasher movie. I love Scream. I love Halloween. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. And this book seems like it's going to play on a lot of those tropes. Grady Hendrix has a really good sense of humor when he writes, so it's very fun and funny, but also a little bit you kind of get lulled and then you get jumped. It's really cool how he's able to create a jump scare while reading. Anyway, I think this is going to be a great read. I hope you all are excited about it too. I'm going to put a link in the description box to pre-order your copy. I have links down there for the book, the audiobook, and the Kindle version. So any way you want to digest this book, you're welcome to do it in your own way. If you like an audiobook, please feel free to do that. This is not going to be released, like I said, until the 13th of July, so we will be reading this kind of in the second half of the month, and then I'll review it on the last day of July, and that's when we'll talk about the book, and that's also when I'll announce the next book for August as well. But overall, I am so excited to finally be putting this book club together. I have fallen back in love with reading this last year, and I am a person who really needs to like talk about a book after I've read it. I was so frustrated after I read Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and I didn't have anybody to talk about it with because there was so much to unpack and I desperately needed to talk to somebody about it. So I'm so thrilled that I have all of you to chat with these books about. I think we're gonna have some really cool, interesting discussions, and I really want to get a good, diverse slate of books. So if you have suggestions of books, feel free to drop them in the comments. I have a few already picked out, but I really want to make sure that we're reading books that are by people of color and by, you know, people of different gender identities. I think horror can get very whitewashed and very like told from a certain perspective, and I really want this book club to be intersectional, and I want us to have a lot of different voices involved in what we're reading. So if you have any great ideas for things that we cannot miss out on, definitely drop those in the comments for me. And I also just want to say real quick before I sign off today, we did hit 12,000 subscribers yesterday. It's wild how quickly we are growing here, and I am so incredibly thankful. I didn't want to just breeze past that, so thank you all so much for being here. If you are new here, say hi in the comments. I'd love to talk to you. Be sure, if you're not already, to subscribe to the channel before you leave today, and I cannot wait to see you all at book club. Thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, keep it campy, kooky, glamorous, and spooky. Bye!
When ghosts come out to social.